A wonderful good evening, a wonderful and heartfelt welcome to everyone here, to this amazing international audience from all around the world. Thank you for typing in where you're coming from. We have all the northern parts, the southern parts, east and west. So we're combining everything from very, very globally. I also would love to let you know that today we're actually translating into German. So if you prefer to listen to this event with Brandon in German language, you just click that little globe at the bottom of your screen that is called interpretation. Probably in German it's called Übersetzung, I'm not quite sure. My name is Gabby Burt. I'm Managing Director for The Journey International and have been with Brandon and The Journey for over 25 years. It's been a huge privilege to see people from all around the globe use the Journey tools to clear trauma from their lives, to really find the courage to start fresh, to find the courage to begin new. And it's a beautiful privilege to actually have Brandon here on this Discovery session today, live with us, so she can actually talk us through what happens, how this trauma comes and what it is and how we can clear it, or that it's possible, at least that it's possible. So we can go on this discovery journey with Brandon. So please welcome Brandon for this evening and have a beautiful session, everyone. Thank you, Brandon, for being here with us. Thank you.
Thank you with all my heart, Gabby, and a heartfelt namaste to everyone that's here. And it just seems to be the topic of the day, the hour, actually of this whole pandemic time. And so much buried trauma has been stored in our bodies. And it's not just the recent trauma of lockdowns and vaccination and divorces happening and the having to homeschool and Ukraine war and the climate crisis and having earthquakes and tornadoes and floods of biblical proportions. And it seems like everywhere we look, it's coming at us. And so we have the external circumstances, which is, of course, creating trauma in our lives. No one ever gave us a manual. How do you deal with that kind of thing? And then there are the personal challenges where so many of you sent in the challenges that you've been facing. And one woman, described how when she was 24 years old, she got married and was married from the years 24 to 28. But 2 weeks after being married, her husband strangled her. And shortly after that, she was diagnosed with schizophrenia. And of course, she didn't know how to cope with such a violent act coming her way. And one of the things that science has found, that when you feel any strong emotion and you repress it, you freeze, which is what all of us do in the face of trauma. Someone shouts at us, someone says something, a boss at work criticizes us. Perhaps physical violence, sexual violence may have happened, but some instance takes place. Auto accident, serious illness diagnosed, divorce taking place, something we never in a million years dreamed would happen. And so some circumstance happens. And because we didn't have the coping skills, strong emotion comes up, usually fear, it can be anguish, it can be desperation, a helplessness, it can be feeling misunderstood, not seen, that what's being said is totally unfair. And when we're at the peak of this strong emotion and we shut it down, what happens is, and science has found this, it releases a quantifiable biochemistry into our bloodstreams, which will go to certain cell receptors and block them, rendering those cells incapable of communicating with the rest of the cells in the body. And if over time illness happens, of course it happens, where the cells are blocked. And conversely, what's also known to be true is that when we feel our emotions very naturally, freely, they're just allowed to come and go like a child does, our cell receptors remain open. And so all of us have had multiple traumas take place where we've been knocked back, where we didn't know how to respond. And when that happened, and we froze, or we withdrew, or we ran away, or denied it was happening, swept it under the carpet, that's when it got stored in our cells. Now it gets programmed into our cells. And when that generation of cells dies, it passes on the programming, the consciousness, the old stored pain, the unspoken words, all that you needed to say and express at that time that never got expressed. It gets passed on to the next cell generation. So the next cell generation is born as an exact replica of this previous cell generation. And so this programming, this trauma gets passed on in our bodies and with our beings. And I can remember, many of you may have read this already, but when I was 39 years old, even though I had been in the complementary medical field my whole life, certified in so many different areas, leading this healthy, really vibrant life, I ended up being diagnosed with a basketball-sized tumor. And when I got into the doctor's office, the surgeon's office, she said to me that it probably started as one cell when I was 8 years old or something. And then it replicated into two. And then the last 3 or 4 months before I got to the surgeon, the cells started replicating exponentially. And I looked about 6 months pregnant when I got there, although I knew that wasn't the case. And so part of the great gift of my own healing journey, and I healed in only 6.5 weeks' time without drug, surgery, any medical intervention, was I found a method for all of us in a very direct, in a very real way, practical way, down-to-earth way, for you to go on a journey inside your own body to uncover these old buried cell memories, these old painful traumas, these old unspoken words, the time that you froze, and everything that you were feeling in that time got stored in your body. And to not only uncover what's stored there, but to go through a deep, profound healing process of releasing that old stored consciousness, of coming to an understanding of what took place with you at that time, coming to not only an understanding, but to a deep place of forgiveness of yourself, of life, of God for this thing taking place, each other, so that when new cells are born, they're born devoid of that old consciousness as new regenerative cells, which is what happened to me when I got into hospital 6.5 weeks later. They could find no evidence of the tumor. And in that time, I'd undergone what turned out to be what I now call the journey process. I'd undergone 3 spontaneous journey processes where I got to violent trauma. And in my case, it was physical and sexual abuse in my childhood, which, being a therapist in life, of course, I thought to myself, I've got this whole issue handled. It's so done. I'm so done with it. And it was the last thing I expected to uncover inside that tumor. But when I was guided by grace, by life, to go through a deep process of release and letting go, and came to an understanding of what was happening to me in my life at that time, and ultimately forgiveness. I didn't know this at the time, but that forgiveness was a profound experience of me letting go of my whole story of pain, of abuse, of violence, and coming to a place of wholeness and completion with this story that I thought that I had long since completed with. Because as a therapist, of course, I thought, well, I've been through 8 years of therapy with that, been there, got the t-shirt on that, And so very often when we do the journey to uncover what's stored inside there, it may not be what you expect to find. And yet the process itself is so profound and effective that right now there's cancer hospitals using it, medical doctors, surgeons. Right now, as a matter of fact, today, we just got a phone call from a beloved of ours, a journey practitioner who owns 3 hospitals in Israel. And there's a film company that is wanting to do a documentary on all the work that they're doing in these hospitals. That, for instance, let's say you have heart disease and you have a heart operation, and then after you finish that heart operation, you then go into a recovery center where for a week long, you get to the emotional corollary using the journey process of what co-created the heart disease in the first place, so it doesn't return again. Or with fibromyalgia, again, after you've undergone your treatment, that's in another hospital, then you go through this deep process of really going to the locations in your body where these old repressed cell memories are stored and go through that deep process of release and letting go. And indeed, they do that in the oncology unit of another hospital, where after you finish whatever treatment is there, you then go through getting to the emotional root cause of what co-created cancer in the first place. And they're getting such astounding results, such profound healing results, that actually a Netflix documentary is going to be shot on what's taking place with all of this work going on in the field of integrative medicine and getting to the emotional root cause. So even though you may not feel that you've specifically been through a trauma, you didn't have floods and you didn't have an earthquake and you didn't have the fires coming, you haven't been through anything violent or abuse in your life, all of us are experiencing mini traumas where it can be a simple thing that a loved one shouts at you when they're stressed out and they say something that is so shocking to you that you freeze. And in that moment, the biochemistry is released, goes to your certain cell receptors, blocking those cells, and that emotional issue gets stored in your cells. So you may have been through all kinds of trauma. You may have been through something that you wouldn't consider trauma, that you lived a fairly relaxed life. And yet all of us have experienced these traumas. And so I thought tonight we would go through a mini exploration here where you can begin to befriend your body, begin to go on a journey where you can unearth some of the emotional issues that are stored there and really begin this befriending your body, learning to listen to it. And of course, we can't go through the whole teaching of the journey method here as much as I would love to, because that takes place in a 3-day immersion called the Journey Intensive, which is taking place online all over the world right now. And so it's definitely happening in your own time zone where you can really undergo this liberating and life-changing work and learn it so well that you dive in, roll up your sleeves, and really clear on all levels. And you're supported by journey practitioners who've gone through year-long training and who are there to support you as you not only learn about the method and go through different guided visualizations and then the process work itself. But my prayer is that you leave that not only with the tools to clear whatever emotional, physical issues are there, but also to give this work away to your children, to your loved ones. And so what we can do today is begin our journeys together. and to begin this process of exploring and really listening to our body. And before we do that, I'd like to, if I had to say, what is the journey in a nutshell? The best way I could describe it is in a metaphor. That we, all of us, come into this world, we're all of us born, and we come into this world feeling ourselves to be this vast, infinite presence of love, an awareness that's pervading all of existence, where we feel one with all of life. As a matter of fact, science has found that when you are a newborn infant, and in the first days and weeks of your life, you feel yourself to be so connected, where all of you is pervading all of existence, that when mother's hand comes before your eyes, you actually feel mother's hand as being part of yourself. That's how vast this infinite field of enlightened awareness is that you came in as. But unfortunately, through the course of life's pains and trials, this vast field of oneness with everything, it gets covered over with a series of traumas, pain, shutdown. And it could be something simple, like you're 3 years old and you're needing to get to nursery school or daycare, and you're crying about something. And your mother says to you, oh, come on, let's dry our tears. We've got to get to the nursery school. And the little child gets it. Oh, I'm not allowed to feel, at least not those feelings that have the tears. And the first involuntary, automatic shutdown happens. Now, when you start shutting down one emotion, you start shutting them all down. And I can remember I came from a very domestically challenged household, and there was a lot of violence. And the way I used to escape it is I used to escape into my children's books. And I loved reading. Of course, and if you love something as much as I did, you become good at it. So I became a good reader and a good speller. And I can remember when I was in the 3rd grade and I was 8 years old, and I got selected to represent the 3rd graders in my school for a contest that we have in the United States called a spelling bee. And it's where all the schools come together in this stadium, and all the teachers and the parents and all the students come together. And so I'd been selected to represent the 8-year-olds. And I was standing on stage, and I'd already spelled 3 difficult words. And then they gave me one of the easiest words in the English language, the word fleet. Now, I'd never seen that word in any of my children's books, but I had seen the word flea, an insect. And I said, F-L-E-A-T. And the whole audience was hushed. And all at once, it erupted into laughter. No one had given me a manual. How do you deal with mass humiliation in front of all your friends, all your peers, the teachers, all the parents? And I looked into my mom's eyes, and she was sitting in the 3rd row for her support. And she looked at me as if I was the greatest disappointment in her life, and just shook her head and went, and it was like this internal wall just came slamming down inside. And I went to retreat to the back of the stage with the other losers. And that day I thought, I'm so stupid that people will only ever laugh at me. I'll never be good at anything I do. I'll never succeed. I'm just a laughing stock. It's like this, layer upon layer of shutdowns. I can remember I was 16 and I got my first crush on this guy, and I tried to impress him. And of course, I made a fool out of myself. And I watched the first love of my life run out of my life. And I was running after him. And of course, that day, I decided I'm so worthless. I'm so unattractive that no one I'm attracted to will ever be attracted to me. I'm just not worthy of love. Layer upon layer. And then when we get to be adults, we cover this whole mess over with this polished mask, this veneer that we present to the world, which says, no, I've got it all handled. I'm an adult. You can rely on me. I'm dependable. And then we wonder why it is. Everyone thinks we're so full of, and you can finish that sentence. And then if you get to be lucky, as I've been more lucky than I can thank God, life, the universe for, life gives you a wake-up call. And these wake-up calls, they come in so many different forms. They can come in the form of a loss of a loved one, where one woman was saying in what she wrote to me today, that she lost 5 beloveds in a 6-month period of time. Or it can come in the form of a serious illness, or in violence or abuse, or an auto accident, or it can come in the form of a pandemic where suddenly you're shut down, you're having to homeschool, you've lost your job, where for one moment you decide to get real and you crack through this mask that you're presenting to the world. And you end up spontaneously opening down through the layers of the lies, the shutdowns, the pain, the limitation. And spontaneously, you end up opening into your own soul, into the vast field of love, of oneness, of awareness that you came in as. And you realize it's been there all along. Only like me, it's gotten covered over with. And if you're very lucky, you fall so in love with the truth inside yourself that, like me, you will do anything to clear whatever blocks you, whatever obscures you, whatever holds you back on any level of being, so that this radiant presence, this love, can live your life, so you can live authentically from the truth of who you are, from the freedom that's here, from the love that is your essence. So if I had to say, what is the journey really all about? It's about getting real. It's about cracking through this pretty mask that we present to the world. It's about opening down through the layers of the lies and pains and shutdowns and into that infinite intelligence. And it's at that deepest level, at the level of the soul, that you turn the flashlight on inside. You turn the torch on inside, and you go on a journey inside your body. And you go to specific cellular locations that you're guided to. And you go through a deep process of not only uncovering what's there, but releasing what's stored there, understanding, forgiveness, so that when new cells are born, they're born devoid of that old consciousness as new regenerative cells. And so that's what the journey is in a nutshell. And so I thought tonight it would be beautiful for you just to do some simple work where you can begin to befriend your body, to go inside and begin to uncover some of what's stored here. And I'd like to make it very recent, something that you can relate to. Not that you have to go back to cell memories, because we don't have time to do that today, but to go to a recent time. All of us had this happen during the pandemic, where someone said something, someone did something, the government did something, a friend said something, or a loved one, but some circumstance took place where we froze. We just literally almost were paralyzed by what took place. In that moment, we just froze. And the way that we reacted to freezing, we may have shut down. We may have run away and withdrawn from the situation. We may have tried to shout back at that person as a form of defense. But the first reaction would have been freezing. And so I just let your awareness, cast your awareness back right now, over the last months, to a time where something took place, where you reacted, where you didn't have the coping skill and there was some unhealthy reaction. You either shouted back or just shut down, got upset, then withdrew and started playing over and again what was said. And so let's take a moment and close our eyes for a second and just let our awareness drift back to that specific time where we've had a recent mini sort of shutdown happen, or even a major one. And now go back to that specific time and step into that memory. It could have even happened yesterday. It could have been last week or weeks before. But step into that memory and go right to the moment where you froze for a second and what it felt like. And go right to that moment of your reaction where you froze or you shouted back or you shut down or you withdrew inside yourself. But go right to that exact moment where something took place and you reacted. And step into that moment and feel what that moment felt like. And then let's roll the cameras back to that millisecond before you reacted. And there was an impulse to react. So go to that moment where that tiny impulse was there, that drive to react. And now roll the cameras back to that millisecond before the impulse to react happened. And just open and kind of stretch time a little bit and feel what you were really feeling at the time before the impulse to react came up. What were you really feeling at the time? And even if you're not sure what it was, just inquire, what might I have been feeling prior to the impulse to react in the way? Because you got triggered, no doubt about it. You got on automatic pilot, you got triggered. Right before you reacted, what were you feeling? And just open with that feeling. And just asking right now, if there were an even deeper feeling beneath this more surface emotion, what might that deeper feeling be? And if there were a deeper feeling, what might it be? Just feel yourself opening and allowing whatever that deeper feeling is. And innocently asking if there were an even deeper feeling in the core of this emotion. I wonder what that might be. Just feeling your being beginning to open and welcome and allow whatever that deeper, more buried feeling is. Just allowing it here. And what might it be? And just surrounding this right now with your own love, with your own acceptance. Nothing to fix or change, just the allowing of whatever feeling is here, whatever feeling is not here. Surrounding it in acceptance. Taking a nice deep breath in. Take it out. And opening your eyes now. Opening your eyes now. And I think if you really kind of did this divine experiment, you must have begun to feel the whispers of a deeper emotion that was driving the impulse to react in the way that you did. And so you can begin to see that, yes, there was the reaction. That's the external. But there was deeper emotion driving it. And so I thought it'd be lovely right now to go on a different exploration process, a different discovery, where in this discovery, we befriend our body. We really give it a chance to be able to speak, to say words, to allow pictures, where we're really learning to be present to what our body is trying to tell us. And so just treat this as a divine experiment, and nothing that you have to do or not do. Just join me and let's take a nice deep breath in, letting it out and closing the eyes once again. And letting your heart be as wide as the world. Wide enough to welcome all the feelings and emotions that live inside of you. That's how vast this vast open sky of all acceptance is. And it's spacious and vast and free in front of you. Boundlessly vast and spacious behind. The awareness is infinitely spacious, free, open and vast to all sides of you. And you're just resting here in a vast open sky of all acceptance. And now turning your gaze inside the body. And I know you know this, that the body is like this container full of all kinds of emotions. And, you know, our emotions, they're like little kids. Some of our feelings, they're loud and attention-seeking. And some of our emotions are shy and scared of us. And some of your feelings, you've rejected them so many times that, like a little kid who feels absolutely rejected, they hide behind closed doors and underneath lids. And so putting out a heartful welcome to all the feelings that live here, and just saying to your body that for once you're willing to listen. that you're willing to be present. You're willing to feel what's here. And now locating part of your body where there may be a little tension or stress or contraction or some sort of anxiety, or there's something going on in that part of the body where there's some tension or stress or contraction going on. Locate that part of the body right now where the contraction is. And take a deep breath in of acceptance. And now flooding that area with acceptance. Letting it soften and be opened and marinated and tenderized by your own acceptance. And just asking yourself if there were a feeling stored there. I wonder what that feeling might be. Just allowing it to rise up. It might be as quiet as a whisper. But if there were a feeling stored in that area, what might that feeling be? Or if this little location could speak and had words, give it a voice. If this part of the body could speak and it had a voice, what would it say? And you can even whisper those words out loud in your room. If it could speak and had a voice, what would it say? And as you listen to the words, how do they make you feel emotionally? Or maybe there's a lid somewhere. It's like this whole area is blocked and there's a lid over it. If that's the case, like you would peel back the lid of a can of peanuts, imagine right now you're taking hold of this lid and in your mind's eye, lift it off. What's hiding there? And as you open with it, how does it make you feel emotionally? Just welcoming whatever's here and also whatever's not here. Taking a deep breath in of acceptance. And now flooding that area with acceptance. Coming to neutral inside of yourself. And finding a different area of the body where there may be a little tension or stress or holding or hiding or contraction going on. Locate that area. And now take a deep breath in of acceptance. And now flooding that area with acceptance. Marinating it and tenderizing it and opening up that area. And if there were an emotion spontaneously arising out of that area, what might that emotion be? It might be as quiet as a whisper, so just open and welcome it. Or if it could speak and had words, what would this area say? Let the words give rise to themselves. Or the sounds. And as you listen to that, how does it make you feel emotionally? Or perhaps a picture is just showing up out of nowhere. If there is a picture, Step into it. How are you feeling in the picture? Or if there is a lid, take hold of that lid right now. And now lift it off. What's hiding here? Just welcoming whatever's here, and whatever's not here. Taking a deep breath in of acceptance. And now flooding this area with acceptance. Nothing to change or fix, just allowing. And come to neutral inside of yourself. And the saying to your body, if it feels appropriate, let your body know that you're going to begin now your journey of listening, of being present to whatever it is the body wishes to reveal. That you're willing to finally open and let the body have a voice and reveal what's here to be revealed. So if it feels appropriate, you might like to make a promise to yourself that you're going to begin this journey now of listening to your own body, welcoming it to have a voice, being present to what it's trying to say. And taking a nice deep breath in and sighing it out. And once again, the heart, the awareness, your being is as wide as the world. A vast open presence that is spacious in front, free behind, vast to all sides. A vast open sky of all acceptance. And taking another nice deep breath in. And letting it out. And another nice deep breath in. And sighing it out. And when the eyes are ready, you can open them now into this vast field of awareness, so that eyes open or eyes closed, same presence. And with your eyes open, and you can open your eyes now, just be aware of your own presence, your own awareness, that it is vast and spacious and free in front of you, that it's boundlessly vast and spacious behind and infinite to all sides. And we're just resting here with eyes open in this vast open sky of your being. Now, I'd love to welcome you to share if you uncovered a deep emotion, and you can type that into the chat box. Many of you in participating in this that I call the gentle welcome, if you were really present to yourself, already the body began to reveal some of the emotions that are here. And so if you would be willing just to type in the chat box some of the emotions that were uncovered, that have been buried there. And Gabby can share them with me and speak them out as they start coming in.
I will, and I'm still waiting.
Oh, okay.
It's taking for people to just come round a little bit. That was a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful meditation and introspection. Powerlessness, fear, disgust comes from one lady.
Wow. Very powerful issues.
Pain, helplessness, frustration, hurt, powerlessness,
Wow.
abandonment, fear, loneliness, fear
Oh.
of abandonment. They're all rolling in now. Deep grief, feeling of rejection, sadness, expecting that turns in big, big sadness. I felt rejection, hurt. So all
Very
the
deep.
big.
It's very strong. And usually those are emotions that are quite a few layers down, the ones that have been spoken about. Yeah. Those very deep. And they've been buried in you for who knows how long. And what the journey, when you get a chance to really undergo the full journey process, it will guide you to do is firstly, to go down through the emotional layers, to open into this vast field of love, this infinite intelligence that is your own soul. And at that level of being, you're guided by your soul to a specific cellular location inside the body. And you will uncover not only the emotion stored there, but the exact cell memory that took place whenever it took place. You know, it could be a long time ago. It could even have been while you were in the birth canal or post-birth. I mean, that's how, far back we often end up going when we're uncovering these old buried traumas, these old emotional issues. And the whole of it will not only be uncovered by your soul, but you will be welcomed then to go through a deep and very profound process of releasing all that stored pain, all those unspoken words, all that couldn't be expressed at the time, that never would be expressed, that you weren't allowed to express at the time. And it all comes flooding out of you. And then you go through a deep process of not only understanding what took place for you and for the other people involved and for life, but through then a process of forgiveness. At which point, that's when you let go of your trauma. You let go of your story of pain. And when new cells are born, they're born devoid of that old consciousness as new regenerative cells, which is why when I first started the journey, and it's nearly 30 years ago that I first started offering the journey. The first places I was offering it was in oncology centers, cancer centers, where someone would be undergoing chemotherapy and they'd be undergoing a journey process with the nurse there. And so it's been known for a long time that there's an emotional corollary to physical illness. And so this is a way for you to clear it. And my prayer is that you clear it before it shows up as illness, that you give yourselves your wake-up call now. And I pray with all my heart that you really uncover this vast, boundless freedom that is your essence. And that, like me, you fall so in love with the truth of who you are, that, like me, you will clear whatever blocks you, shuts you down, holds you back on any level of being, so that this radiant essence, this love that is who you are, that is your essence, can live your life. And I'm so glad that coming up this month, that we've got Journey Intensives, a 3-day deep dive, deep immersion happening around the world, in Australia, New Zealand, in North America, all over Europe. And my team has put together this amazing price. Even when I first started, it was 28 years ago that I gave my first Journey Intensive, and it was a lot more expensive than they're offering it now. And it's such a a beautiful gift you give yourselves. So it's 497 normally. And because of this wild time we're living through and the difficulties that people have had during the pandemic, my team is offering it for 147 for 3 days of getting this life-changing work, where in the mornings I'm taking you through teachings and process work and guided introspections. And then in the afternoon, you partner up with a delegate who's taking the event, and you go to a private breakout room where you actually undergo the journey process. And the first day is the emotional journey, where you open into the enlightened awareness of your own soul. And the second day in the afternoon, you're undergoing the physical journey of getting access to specific cellular locations and clearing cell memories. And on the third day, you're going through the advanced skills of how to clear times that you have, let's say, an umbilical cord where you're energetically attached to another person, and you're codependent in your relationship with them, and how to let that go, on and on, karmic lessons needing to be learned, etc. All the advanced skills. And so my prayer is that when you finish with that, instead of not just being washed clean and in a place of such wholeness and freedom in yourself, my prayer is that you take these tools, that you'll have a whole toolbox worth of them, and you'll take them to your kids and your family and your friends. And the truth is, everybody deserves to take the lampshade off their light. Everybody deserves to come home to the wholeness within. And so Gabby is going to share with you how you can find out more about the Journey Intensive happening on your own time zone. One of the things I love about it is that the Journey practitioners have been through 6 different lengthy courses and completed 45 case studies. And our Journey practitioners are the ones supporting the event. And so let's say you're doing a journey process and something comes up for you and you don't know how to handle it. Well, you're in a breakout room and you raise your hand, and immediately a journey practitioner, and they're the ones I get my journey process work with. When I was on tour and I was teaching 44 weeks out of a year, I got a journey process once a week while I was on tour. I never wanted to be so arrogant as to say I have it all handled. I know there's more than one cell memory stored in here, and I feel it's a huge gift to clear whatever blocks me or obscures me. And so it's the journey practitioners who I go to that you will have there, holding in an expert embrace of support for you. So you have incredible support, and they've priced it at a price that's unbelievable. It never cost that even 8 years ago. And so it's a gift to give to yourself to finally come home. And Gabby can share with you how you can talk to someone in person and find out, is this for me or is it not for me? And you can find out all about that from Gabby. And so I thank you with all my heart, and I pray that your own heart calls you home to the peace inside, to the love that you are, and that you discover this diamond within. And a heartfelt namaste. Namaste.
Thank you, Brandon, and a heartfelt namaste, and for the beautiful, beautiful discovery session that we underwent here with you. And I can see from all the emotions that were shared in the chat box how deeply people went. And all I ever want to say is, if people only knew that these emotions are the gateway to our soul, are the gateway to freedom. And the Journey Intensive is one of those courses where you not just learn about it, you actually experience it. And so it's a beautiful invitation to come home to yourself, and just listen to your heart and follow the calling from inside of you. It's never been easier. We have created this program over 3 days online. So you take everything in the comfort of your own home. And price-wise, we did that because we just want more people to have access to these powerful tools that are life transforming, that are life changing. And Brandon was saying earlier, it happens on all time zones. So during this month, not only do we have on the European time zone, on the North American time zone, on the Australasian time zone, this event, but we also have one in May with Hebrew translation. This next one here in April in Europe is also offered with German translation. And in North America, there is another event in May, which you find on our landing page, which is also midweek. We have a beautiful community of people of Jewish people in America who can only take this event midweek. So we've done everything to make it as easy as possible. Brandon will be your teacher. She will be delivering all of the teaching modules. Our co-host, our team will be supporting you. It is a live event. So this is not a home study course. This literally happens live and you have a front row seat. So we take very, very good care and make sure that people complete the process work, that you partnered up with a person that you can work with, and that you can call for help if help is needed. And that's just the beginning. That's the learning the tools in the 3-day Journey Intensive. We actually call it 2 days with a bonus day. So it's Saturday, Sunday, and Monday is the bonus day where we learn these additional advanced skills. And so I can only invite you and take another look at that. And more so, Brandon has also mentioned, we do have a team. If you're not sure if this work is for you, if you're kind of pondering and you have some more questions that we haven't answered here yet, we do have somebody on a telephone line and you can book a call. Olga, yeah, so it's a clarity call and you've just have the link for this here. We will also send a follow-up email that will have all these details. So if things are moving too fast in the chat box and you don't have the link or you don't have, oh, where do I make this call? It will all be in a follow-up email and you will see it there too. It's time, it's really time. And I just, my heart breaks wide open when I see all of the emotional issues from aloneness to rejection, to abandonment, to despair, to fear, to anger, rejection, and on and on and on. And these are just emotions. And each one of them brings us home to the truth of who we really are. And then life can look very different. We can't change the outside circumstances. What can change is how we respond to them internally, and living from a place of self-love, from a place of peace, from depth and understanding. And that is available to absolutely each and everyone, no matter how grave the circumstances are. And on that note, I would love to leave you. And if you've already done the Journey Intensive, and maybe it's been a long, long time and you're a little bit rusty, come back. It is even cheaper to come and do a reset version of that. It's new, it's fresh. If it's been some time ago, you wouldn't have experienced how it's happening right now. Just come and throw yourself in and revisit this again, and we will take good care of you. So anyway, on this note, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for joining Brandon in her discovery session. And hopefully we'll see you at the upcoming events or at one of the upcoming events. Much love. Thank you very much, and a heartfelt and deep namaste. Thank you. Bye-bye. I need to say something else before music comes on. Somebody's saying, is anyone else afraid they won't be able to go enough or deep enough online? I've been supporting these events all the way to advanced retreats online. And I can tell you with absolute truth and honesty that nothing is lost. In fact, my personal experiences and from what I see is that people even go deeper. And My thoughts on this is that maybe it's because we are in a safe environment, maybe because we are at home. We're not sitting next to a stranger. We're not sitting in a strange environment. It feels safe. There is an embrace. There is an embrace. One of our co-hosts will lead you through the entire event. Brandon will be there with the teaching modules, and our practitioners are there to support. We have more support at online events than we've ever had at live events. So if people do get stuck, we have a greater opportunity to send help and support, you know. So no, absolutely not. I think there is nothing that gets lost. You will go as deep, if not deeper, in the online event. And you can feel it's an interesting phenomena, because once we open together as one, it does feel like that. We connect so quickly here in this environment, and it's give it a go. You know, we can, yes, we can distract ourselves, but then you need to go away and make a phone call. Well, stay here, give yourself the opportunity and make a commitment to yourself to put as much into this as you can, and put out a prayer and just a commitment, and see what comes out of it. At best, life transformation. And, you know, I honestly don't think that you can be here for 2 or 3 days and nothing happens, because something shifts, something changes, absolutely. And I trust that. So anyway, I love you with that, and love and leave you with that. And I hope and see you soon. Anyway, thank you very much. Good night and namaste. Bye-bye.